The clock in Nexus Tech Tower's glittering lobby edged toward midnight, its sleek marble floors gleaming under the soft hum of LED lights. The billion-dollar tech empire stood quiet, its employees long gone, leaving behind only the faint echo of their ambitions. Yet the floors sparkled, not from some fancy AI cleaning bot, but from the steady hands of Kenji Sato, the night janitor. With a mop in hand, Kenji moved like a ghost, his reflection dancing faintly across the polished tiles. To the corporate world, he was invisible, a name on a schedule, a shadow in a faded uniform. But Kenji was more than that. Once a linguistics professor in Kyoto, he'd traded lecture halls for late-night shifts after his wife's death, crossing oceans to give his 8-year-old daughter, Hannah, a better life. Each night, as she clutched his shirt in her sleep, he kissed her forehead and left to make the corporate world shine, one swipe of his mop at a time. If you've ever tuned into Midnight Tales on YouTube, you'd know this is the kind of story that lingers, a quiet moment that changes everything. Tonight, the silence broke with the soft hiss of the elevator doors. Out stepped Evelyn Klein, the enigmatic CEO of Nexus Tech. Whispers in the break rooms painted her as untouchable, a woman who hadn't cracked a smile since her father's sudden death thrust her into the corner office. Her heels clicked sharply against the marble, her face unreadable, a tablet glowing in her hand. Her fingers trembled as she typed, betraying a hidden strain. She paused by the towering glass doors, gazing into the rain-soaked city, her eyes distant, her posture just a touch unsteady. Kenji watched, not just seeing her, but noticing the hitch in her breath, the weight in her gaze, the way she seemed to carry the world on her shoulders. He hesitated, then spoke, his voice soft as moonlight. "Anata, Daijibu. Are you okay?" The words, warm and fluent in his native Japanese, cut through the silence like a gentle breeze over a still lake. Evelyn froze, her eyes snapping to his, seeing him for the first time, not as a janitor, but as a person. "You speak Japanese," she said, her voice rough, like a phrase pulled from a dusty corner of her mind. Kenji offered a small, kind smile. "And you do too, Atashimo." The air shifted, charged with something unspoken, like the moment before a storm breaks. Evelyn let out a laugh, small, tired, the kind that hadn't been used in years. "My mother was Japanese," she said, her words halting. "She used to say that phrase to me when I cried at night. I haven't heard it since I was 9. Kenji set his mop aside, bowing his head slightly. "She must have been kind." Evelyn blinked, and something cracked, not loud, not visible, but enough for her voice to soften. She whispered. "And I've forgotten how to be." The lobby, usually a cold cathedral of ambition, felt human for the first time. Evelyn sat on the bench by the security desk, her tablet forgotten. She didn't say much, just enough to let the weight spill out, her father's death, the crushing pressure of leading Nexus, the silence of a corporate world that had no room for grief. Kenji listened, never judging, never interrupting, just standing there, steady and human. When she asked if he had children, he smiled. "A daughter, Hannah, 8 years old. Loves mangoes, hates math." Evelyn's lips curved, a real smile, the kind that reached her eyes. "Bring her to the employee family day next week," she said. "There's a puppet show and a buffet." Kenji hesitated. "Janitors don't usually," she cut him off, her voice soft but firm. "They do now. That's a CEO order." With a short bow, traditional and respectful, she walked away, leaving the lobby quieter but warmer. By morning, whispers rippled through Nexus Tech Tower. The untouchable CEO had spoken Japanese with the janitor. No one knew what was said, but something had shifted. Evelyn smiled more, took meetings with junior staff, asked people how they were. Kenji kept mopping, kept smiling, but now executives nodded his way, not out of obligation, but respect. One night, as he packed his supplies, a nervous intern approached. "Mr. Sato, what did you say to the CEO that night?" Kenji's eyes, kind as ever, met his. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can say is just to ask if someone's okay, in the language their heart remembers. It's the kind of moment that would make a perfect episode on Midnight Tales, where small acts spark big changes. Kenji's days blended into nights, each one a quiet rhythm of mopping, polishing, and thinking of Hana. She'd started drawing pictures of the tower, her crayons turning the sterile building into a castle of colors. He carried one in his pocket, a reminder of why he worked these lonely hours. Meanwhile, Evelyn's transformation rippled outward. She began leaving her office door open, inviting ideas from interns and analysts alike. The company's culture, once rigid and cold, started to thaw. Employees shared stories over coffee, not just about deadlines but about their lives. Kenji noticed it all, his quiet presence a steady pulse in the background. He never sought credit, never needed it. His reward was Hana's laughter when he brought home mangoes, her tiny hands sticky with juice as she told him about her day. At the employee family day, the Nexus Tech courtyard buzzed with music, laughter, and the smell of grilled food. Hana, in a bright yellow dress, clutched Kenji's hand, her eyes wide at the puppet show. Evelyn spotted them from across the crowd and walked over. No longer the distant CEO but a woman with a spark of warmth. "You must be Hana," she said, kneeling to meet her gaze. Hana nodded shyly, offering a mango slice from her plate. Evelyn laughed, accepting it, the gesture sealing something unspoken. Kenji watched, his heart full, knowing this moment was more than a company event, it was a bridge between worlds. If you caught this on Midnight Tales, you'd see the magic in that simple exchange, a story of connection in a world that often forgets to connect. Weeks turned to months, and Nexus Tech Tower felt different. The lobby, once a sterile showcase of wealth, became a place where people lingered, shared hellos, and noticed each other. Kenji's quiet kindness had started something, a ripple that reached even the highest floors. Evelyn introduced a mentorship program, pairing senior staff with new hires, and personally ensured janitors and support staff were included in company events. She even started practicing her Japanese again, halting at first, but with a determination that mirrored her mother's quiet strength. Kenji, ever humble, kept his routine, but his presence was no longer invisible. Employees greeted him by name, and Hana's drawings began appearing on the break room fridge, a splash of color in a once gray space. One evening, as Kenji polished the brass fixtures in the lobby, Evelyn approached, holding a small package. "For Hana," she said, handing him a book of Japanese folktales. "My mother read these to me. Maybe she'll like them too." Kenji bowed, his voice soft. "She will, thank you." As Evelyn walked away, she paused, turning back. "And Kenji? Thank you, for asking." He nodded, understanding the weight of those words. That night, he read one of the stories to Hana, her eyes wide as the tale of a kind-hearted fox filled their tiny apartment with wonder. It was a moment Midnight Tales would capture perfectly, a reminder that kindness, like a good story, can change everything. The tower kept humming, its deals and deadlines marching on, but something deeper had taken root. Kenji's question, so simple yet so profound, had cracked open a door to humanity in a place that had forgotten it. Evelyn's smiles became less rare, her leadership less about control and more about connection. She started a company-wide initiative called Check-In, encouraging employees to ask each other how they were doing, to listen, to care. Kenji's name wasn't on the posters, but those who knew the story understood where it began. He didn't need recognition, his reward was in Hana's laughter, in the way she'd started to love math just a little, thanks to a tutor Evelyn quietly arranged. One rainy night, as Kenji finished his shift, a young security guard approached, hesitant. "Mr. Sato, how do you do it? Stay so calm, so kind, with everything you've been through." Kenji smiled, folding his cleaning rag. "Life takes much, but it gives back when you give to others. Just ask someone how they are, and mean it." The guard nodded, and as Kenji stepped into the rain, he felt lighter, like the city itself was listening. If you're watching Midnight Tales, you know this is the kind of story that sticks with you, a tale of two souls meeting in the quiet, proving that even in a towering empire of glass and steel, a single question can light a spark that changes everything.